it's your girl Angela. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. Today's video, we're going to be taking it back to my roots. If you've been here since the beginning, you know I started this channel doing a lot of personal finance content. Personal finance is very near and dear to me as my family is on that wealth building journey. However, no matter what you are, no matter who you are, no matter what career path you go down, no matter what, personal finance is important. I do also note that personal finance is personal. So what works for some may not work for others. I also want to note that I am not a financial advisor. And while I do believe that personal finance is personal, I do believe there are some basic do's and don'ts that pretty much everyone can agree on. So I thought it would be important to kind of lay out some of these things. I know a lot of you guys who are watching my channel have not even started your careers yet. So I thought it would be nice to go ahead and put a buzz in your ear and get you guys started on the good foot. Like I said, I know a lot of you guys come to my channel for lawyer and law content, but personal finance is important for literally every career, okay? And if you're like me and have went down or are going down the legal path where you have to take out student loans, it's even more important for us because we have some debt that we need to pay off and prioritize. All right, so I'm gonna be talking about 9 personal finance habits to break, okay? So if I say these things and these are things that you are doing, these are habits that you wanna work on breaking and working on building better personal finance habits. If you have not started doing these things or you do not do these things, good for you, don't pick this up. All right, so let's jump in. So the first habit to break now is buying things on credit, okay? Buying things on credit. And let me explain what I mean by that because I use my credit card a lot. I have a Chase Sapphire card. I have a few credit cards, but my main credit card that I like to use is my Chase Sapphire. And I like to use that card because I get a ton of points when I spend money on groceries, gas, really anything. I get points that I can cash in for gift cards to various places. I can use to buy plane tickets. So I'm not totally against using credit cards. I'm not totally against buying things on credit. What I am against is buying things on credit that you cannot afford to pay in that moment. So particularly for me, I use my credit card as I use my debit card. I do not purchase things that I don't have the funds for to cover. For example, if I go to Best Buy because I want to buy some equipment for my YouTube channel, for example, I want to buy a microphone. I would not buy that microphone if my business account did not have the funds to cover it. I do not believe in borrowing money from yourself that you have to pay back later. On that note, that leads me to my second point. You should not carry a balance on your credit card. Consumer debt is out of control in the United States, and the interest rates on credit cards and other sort of personal debt is insane, you guys. For a lot of people, credit cards carry an interest rate for up to 22, 24%. That is insane. So my golden rule is do not carry a balance on your credit card. Again, use your credit card like a debit card. If you are not spending money that you don't have to pay it off when that credit card becomes due, then you shouldn't be buying it. And I don't say this because I want to limit myself or anything. If you can't afford it, you probably shouldn't be buying it. If you want something and you can't afford it right then and there, my suggestion would be to make a plan and save for it so you can buy it when you can actually afford it. Paying 20% interest on something, it's just not worth it, guys. Just don't even do it. That's how you find yourself in trouble where you intended to pay it, but then something comes up and then you can't pay it. And now you're in a bunch of credit card debt with extremely high interest, which makes it really hard to pay off. So the third financial habit to break is neglecting maintenance in your car. You guys, there's a reason why you have to get your tires rotated, why you have to change your oil, why you have to change your filters. It's what keeps the car in good working condition. So many people find themselves skipping that maintenance, skipping those oil changes, and really you're hurting yourself. What's gonna happen is if you don't maintenance your car, you're more likely to run into issues where you have to pay for repairs. And everyone knows car repairs can be expensive. And then in the long run, you're more likely to have a car that doesn't last you for a long time. So what does that mean you have to do? You have to go out and buy another car. Where if you just would have taken care of the car that you already had and maintenanced it and serviced it regularly, you would have a lasting car that you can drive for a very long time. Okay, so the fourth personal finance habit to break now is don't buy a bunch of groceries and then go out to eat, okay? So many people do this. They buy a house full of groceries to cook and then they go out to eat and most of those groceries go to waste. There's a lot of food that is perishable if we don't cook it within a certain amount of time. You guys, that makes no sense, okay? If you buy groceries, use them, eat at home more. This is not to say that you can't have a night out to eat, can't take a break from cooking or preparing meals, but if you buy a bunch of groceries, you definitely should be using them. It's a waste. What we do in my household to stop waste is we shop weekly, and that really does help us cut back on waste and use what we have, because we don't keep a bunch of food in, and we also plan the nights that we're going to eat out. For those of you who are interested, I do have a video where I discuss how I meal plan and how I cook dinner most weeknights. I'll link it up here so you guys can check it out if you're interested. But yes, don't buy a bunch of groceries just to go eat out, okay? If you know you're going to eat out, don't waste your money on those groceries. Or if you do buy those groceries, go ahead and cook, prepare your meals at home, and cut back on eating out, so you're not wasting that grocery money. And so to piggyback on that one, the next personal finance habit to break is grocery shopping without a list. You guys, I used to do this. I used to go to the grocery store. I'd be like, I do most of the cooking. I know what we generally need. I know what we generally like to have. You guys, you always are going to come out spending more money and buying things that you don't need when you do that. You should absolutely make a list before you go to the grocery store. And if you're like my household, where we are people of habit, we mostly buy majority of the same things every week, outside of, what our different meals are. But for the most part, we buy a lot of the same things. So I know that it can be just annoying to have to make a list every week. But for me, I usually have a base list that I can start with, because we buy the same things over. So there's just certain things that are going to be on your base list. So use that and build upon it, so you can go into the grocery store with a plan and cut back on wasting money. I know some of these things sound very minuscule and not a big deal, but these things add up when you're doing it every week or every other week or every month. The next personal finance habit to break is a biggie, okay? And that is, stop spending money without creating a budget and tracking your finances. You guys, this is huge, okay? And for some reason, you guys, budgeting has such a negative connotation. Some people hear the word budget and they think that means broke. No, that's smart, okay? No matter how much money you are bringing in, if you don't know what you're putting out, what's going out of that money every month, you guys, that's just a bad way to handle your money, okay? And majority of people think they know what they're spending, but you really don't, guys. Those little expenses that pop up here and there that you don't think of, you don't think of those. You think of your main expenses a lot of times, mortgage, car note, if you have one, those types of things. But there's also those expenses you kind of just spend as you go. And so you really don't know if you don't set a budget for yourself, and most importantly, track those expenses, okay? I have a budgeting video that I did ages ago. I can link it for you. I really want to do an updated budget routine, because we kind of tweak and refine our budgeting in my household. And so I think it's important for me to do an updated routine. A couple of apps that you can use to budget and track your expenses are Every Dollar, Mint, Personal Capital. I personally use Every Dollar, Mint, and Personal Capital. I just started using Mint again, and it's becoming my favorite again. I'm not sure why I stopped using it, but I use them for different things. Personal Capital I use more for tracking my net worth. Every Dollar and Mint are more my budgeting apps. And so I can do an updated budget routine video. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments below. But yes, it's very important for you to budget and track your expenses. You need to know where your money is going, and the best way you can do that is tell it where you need it to go, and then take inventory of where it has gone. Okay, this next one is a big one, especially just in the world we live in. We cannot just buy things based on social media. A lot of times people will have something and you'll feel like you need it. You guys, comparison is the thief of joy, okay? It really, really is. We do not know what everyone's situation is. So just because they can afford something doesn't mean that we should, strain to afford it, okay? That's one thing I learned very quickly in going into the legal profession. There's a lot of people who have fancy, nice, shiny things that I didn't have, especially starting my career. And I felt like I needed to have that, but not knowing that their background was different from me, okay? A lot of these people did not take out student loans to go to school. They were blessed to have family members who helped them, or, just other situations that I definitely didn't have, okay? And so comparing myself and going out and obtaining some of the things that these people obtained just didn't make sense for my personal finance situation. And so just being aware of that and acknowledging that will really help you make yourself feel better about certain decisions you make. The best thing you can do is focus on self. Do not focus on others. Do not compare to others. And also, there's nothing wrong with being happy for someone. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging this is great that that person is able to do it. It's not where I am now, or it doesn't align with my goals. And I promise you guys will be in a much happier place. Don't feel like you need to do something just because others are doing it and you're seeing it on social media, okay? Some of that stuff is a facade, and even if it's not, again, everyone's situation is different. Okay, the next personal finance habit to break is delaying saving and investing for your future. You guys, countless times, I said this when I was younger, you know, I'm only 20, I'm only 21, I'm only 25, I have plenty of time to do all that. You guys, the time is now, okay? You can't get back that time. And the beauty of saving and investing for your future is compound interest, okay? If you do have some sort of retirement or investing account, I do strongly suggest that you start contributing to that account, okay? Compound interest is key. So the earlier you start, the better. If you don't have those types of accounts, you can get them and you should start. The last personal finance habit that you should break now is not having an emergency fund. You guys, you should have an emergency fund. It is so important to have money set aside if something comes up, okay? So many Americans specifically live paycheck to paycheck. So if they do not have an emergency fund, if something comes up, such as a repair, a medical emergency, you know, something goes out at your house, or just anything, or you lose your job, if you have no money set aside, it could be a huge disaster. For example, say you have a job that you have to commute to and you need your car every day to get to work, you need your car to get your groceries, you need your car to live, and you have a car repair come up and it is $1,000, okay? If you live paycheck to paycheck like majority of Americans and you don't have that $1,000 to get your car fixed, you're gonna have to do what? You're gonna have to make choices, right? You're gonna have to make choices on what bills to pay, if you should pay your mortgage or your rent. And then what does that do? It puts you at a financial deficit. It puts you in a hole, okay? So having an emergency fund is so important so you are prepared when things come up that you were not planning for, okay? If you do not have an emergency fund, start working on funding an emergency fund today, you guys. Your goal of what your emergency fund should be a minimum of 3 months of your living expenses, okay? If you lose your job today, you don't want to have to scramble, you don't want to get put out of your house. If you want to be a little bit more conservative, if you're more on the risk averse side, then you should be doing 6 months. I've heard of even people doing 9 months, but I personally think that is not smart unless your emergency fund is in some sort of asset generating account. But if you just have money in a high yield savings account, especially at rates right now, 6 months is probably the most that I would personally do for an emergency savings account. But again, personal finance is personal, so do what you think is best for you. However, at bare minimum, you should have some sort of emergency fund for when things come up. So that's all I have for you guys today. I really hope someone finds this video helpful. So if you heard this list of habits and you are doing some of these things, I challenge you to work on changing some of these habits and replacing them with better personal finance habits so you can have a better life overall. In the world we live in, money matters, okay? Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to the end, please don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you have your post notifications on so you get notified every single time I upload. Make sure you check out the description box below. A lot of your frequently asked questions are answered there. I also have my affiliate links there. If you do want to get started in investing, I do have a code for you to sign up to get a total of 3 free stocks, okay? So go ahead and check that out. I have other affiliate links there. If there's something that you've seen on the channel that you're curious about where I got it from, that's all there. Check it out, you guys. I will see you in the next